Found it. Looks like an old Hitachi. UH043. So that's one of the earlier ones that Hitachi put out. It's going back a few years. Jesus. The weather's been at it a bit. Looks like she's pretty well rusted out. No keys, damn it. Bloody grass growing in it. Oh well, it's got a cover for the exhaust, so that's a good sign. The engine hopefully hasn't had water in it. Rams don't look too bad. There's a wee bit of rust there, but those front two are retracted, so that's good. That should be alright. They'll be covered in oil. Looks like the hydraulic pump is still there. Good. It's actually pretty clean under there, surprisingly. Looks to be all intact. Doesn't look too bad. Alright, everything seems to be intact, so I think what I'll do is come up again tomorrow, bring some batteries up, maybe a bit of diesel and some tools, and see if I can get it started. It's probably going to take a bit more than that, but we'll see what we can do. Alright, it's a bit of a rat's nest under there. I suppose the first place to start is try and get that key barrel out of there and test the wires behind it to see if it's getting power there. So I've tested all those wires and there doesn't seem to be any power getting to the back of the key, so I'll have to trace the wire back to the battery and see where the break is. I've traced the wiring back to this shutoff relay, so this here was loose, this cable, so I've tightened that up and now I'll see if there's power getting to the key. I've managed to get power to the ignition by attaching these relay wires, but I can't seem to get the starter motor to engage, so I'll have to do some more investigating. Okay, so I found some rat-trued wiring up under there. I've joined it again and we'll see how that goes. Oh well, she's turning over, that's a relief. Before I go any further, I'll change the oil and fill up the radiator. That's a good sign that she's turning over, it's not seized up. So I'll do a bit of maintenance on the motor and then we'll try again. Okay, the radiator had water in it, so I only had to put about 3 litres in, so that's a good sign, it's not leaking out of the radiator anywhere. It's probably just evaporated over the years. Still had some oil in it, but probably only about 3 or 4 litres. I'd say it's got a slow leak and it's mostly drained out over the years, so yeah, it's black as tar, that stuff. So I put some fresh oil in it now. Oh, well, it's holding oil, that's good. It took all of that 10 litres, just the right amount. The next job is to flush the diesel tank, see if I can get fuel to the fuel pump. The diesel tank is up there, so I've got to somehow reach up there, drain what's in it and refill it with fresh fuel. Yeah, that's what was left in the diesel tank, and it doesn't really look like fuel anymore. There's a bit of rust in there, so yeah, that wasn't going to start. Quite a bit of water as well by the looks of it. I ran out of power in the batteries yesterday before I could do any more, so I had a go at starting it, priming the pump. It was turning over but not firing, so I replaced the fuel filter. You can see it's got quite a bit of rust and shit in there. So it's got a new fuel filter in there. I'll give it another prime and then see if it'll start. Okay, in theory now it should start. It's got fresh fuel, new oil, water. The engine's turning over, so and this is a problem with compression or the fuel pump. It should run. But before I try and start it again, I'll check the hydraulic oil because I don't want to burn the pump out if it has all leaked out. As you can see, the hydraulic oil looks pretty good after all these years. I see a bit of moisture on the cap, so I'll drain a few litres off the bottom. That'll let all the water out of the tank. Don't really want water going through the pump. Well, she's a runner. Most of the controls work. The boom, the arm and the bucket controls all work. Bit of a leak on that ram, but doesn't look too bad. Bad news is that only one of the travel motors works, so this side one is alright. That one's got no engagement whatsoever. The control stick actually feels quite loose, like there's something disconnected, so I'll have a look underneath. That'll be the problem. That linkage has come off. So obviously a nut has come off there that was holding it on. I've managed to find a temporary fix for it. So I just put a bit of tape around the thread so it doesn't ruin it, and put a pair of vice grips on there so that'll hold it in place. Just temporarily. I'll bring another nut up for it tomorrow, so I'll see if that works. to start it this morning and it wouldn't go, so I've had a bit of a look under here and I noticed the feed pipe, this rubber pipe here, had perished right at the where it goes onto the hand pump. So I've pulled it off, cut it and put it back on, so the perished bit is gone now, and re-primed it, and it's good again, and managed to get it going again. So yeah, it had leaked a bit of fuel, but just mainly got a bit of air into the fuel system, so that's why it wasn't starting. Obviously these trees weren't here when it was parked up, so I won't quite fit through there. So what I'll have to do is try and work my way out slowly and scrape a bit out of the bank there so I can get through. It's going to be a long day probably getting it out. I also checked all the oil in the swing motor, the gearbox oil in there, and the travel motor gearbox oils, and one of them looks good but the other one seems to have hydraulic fluid in it. It's leaking through the main seal of the travel motor. That'll need pulling apart and fixing before I do too much work, but it should hopefully get me out of here to a place where I can pull it, strip it down and take it out. Mission complete. I managed to crawl the digger home to my place. Took 2 days, but we got there in the end. Had a bit of an issue with this travel motor started pissing out oil, so I poked and prodded and this whole pipe broke off, so it was so rusted through it just popped off. A whole lot of hydraulic fluid came back through. It's just the case drain pipe, so not a huge deal, but I managed to take it off here and just weld it back on, so that got me home anyway. This is the motor I'm going to have to pull apart because it's leaking from the hydraulic motor through to the gearbox, so there's obviously some seals or something blowing in there. It looks like it's quite rusty, so I might end up having to buy another one if it's too shagged. It seemed to be tracking alright, maybe a bit less power than the other side, but I think these ones are quite prone to leaking through from the motor to the planetary side, because yeah, that's the gearbox side, and that should only be about that full with oil, but it's full with hydraulic fluid, so it means the fluid from the hydraulic motor is coming straight through the seals. So if it's been doing it for a long time, it's probably worn some grooves in the shaft, and I might have to get it reground. Anyway, small price to pay for a free digger. Another thing I noticed was that the tracks are obviously pretty worn out, you know, and there's the odd loose grouser there, but it's not a big deal. But the tracks are quite sloppy, so eventually have to replace those. And this top roller, the bearings are shot and it's just spinning around on the shaft, so I'll have to replace that. But apart from that, she's pretty good. Leaks a bit of oil, but nothing too major. Gotta expect that for a 40-year-old digger. The arm ram, the seal is shot in that, and these ones have a slow leak, so I've got 3 rams to reseal. But I should be able to fix it for less than, maybe with that motor, maybe less than $3,000 hopefully. So a cheap digger really, and the neighbour's happy that it's gone from his property, so everybody's happy.